A guy said to God, "God, is it true that to you a billion years is like a second?" God said yes. The guy said, "God, is it true that to you $1 billion is like a penny?" God said yes. The guy said, "God, can I have a penny?" God said, "Sure, just a second." After Sunday church, the priest would hand us each an orange and a big cookie. A little girl once lied and took 2 oranges. But the priest told her she mustn't lie because God is watching. Then the girl took 2 cookies and lied about it. When asked why she had done that, she said because she thought that God was only watching the oranges. I visited a cafe yesterday with my friends. The waiter recommended that we try their special coffee. We agreed, and soon the coffee arrived. As we drank the coffee, we realized that it tastes like dirt and mud. Disgusted by the fact, all of us complained immediately. The alarmed waiter rushes over and says, "Well, sir, it was freshly ground coffee." A boy read a restaurant sign that advertised fat-free French fries. "Sounds great," said the health-conscious boy. He ordered some. He watched as the cook pulled a basket of fries from the fryer. The potatoes were dripping with oil when the cook put them into the container. "Wait a minute," the boy said. "Those don't look fat-free." "Sure they are," the cook said. "We charge only for the potatoes." A tough old cowboy from Texas counseled his granddaughter that if she wanted to live a long life, the secret was to sprinkle a pinch of gunpowder on her oatmeal every morning. The granddaughter did this religiously until the age of 103. When she died, she left behind 14 children, 30 grandchildren, 45 great-grandchildren, 25 great-great-grandchildren, and a 40-foot hole where the crematorium used to be. Once, a mosquito walked into a clinic. The doctor saw him and asked him what the matter was. The mosquito said that he had a lot of problems. He was not happy with his life. He was not happy with the job he was doing. He was sad and had no motivation. The doctor listened to his problems and told him that he should really visit a therapist instead of a doctor. The mosquito replied, "Yeah, I know. I just came in because of the blood." Two campers are walking through the woods when a huge brown bear suddenly appears in the clearing about 50 feet in front of them. The bear sees the campers and begins to head toward them. The first guy drops his backpack, digs out a pair of sneakers, and frantically begins to put them on. The second guy says, "What are you doing? Sneakers won't help you outrun that bear." "I don't need to outrun the bear," the first guy says. "I just need to outrun you." Tom's nagging wife died suddenly on a trip to Jerusalem. Funeral director said, "Sir, it would cost about $45,000 if we send her home back to the States or $500 if we bury her here in Jerusalem. Tom says, ship her home. Funeral director says, but sir, why don't you bury her here in the Holy Land and you can save money? Tom says, a long time ago a man was buried here and 3 days later he rose from the dead. I can't take that chance. A redneck's father passed away in his sleep, so in the morning he calls 911 to come pick up the body. The 911 operator told him that she would send someone out right away. Where do you live? Asked the operator. He replied, at the end of Eucalyptus Drive. The operator asked, can you spell that for me? There was a long pause and finally he said, how about if I drag him over to Oak Street and you pick him up there? I was in a barber shop when a man and his young son walked in to get a haircut. The man asked the barber to give his son a haircut while he shopped for groceries nearby. The barber finished giving the haircut, but there was no sign of the father. An hour passed. 2 hours passed. We finally asked the son where his father was. The boy shocked us by saying, that man was not my father. He just told me that if I wanted to get a free haircut at the barber shop, I should come with him. So, the wife and I were in town shopping, and as we came out of a store, 3 girls aged between 18 and 20 walked by, wearing tiny crop tops and short skirts. One of them, a tall blonde, had really fantastic, long, toned and tanned legs. I gently nudged my wife and said, I bet you wish you still had legs like that. She got really upset with me. In fact, I could still hear her sobbing as I wheeled her up the ramp into the next store. A fellow was walking along a country road when he came upon a farmer working in his field. The man called out to the farmer, how long will it take me to get to the next town? The farmer didn't answer. The guy waited a bit and then started walking again. After the man had gone about 100 yards, the farmer yelled out, it will take you about 20 minutes. The guy inquires, thank you, but why didn't you tell me that when I asked you? The farmer replied, I didn't know how fast you could walk. A husband and wife at custody court. The judge looks sternly at the ex-wife. Judge, why do you think you deserve custody of the child? Ex-wife, I brought him into this world, so I should have custody of him. Judge, that is a simple yet good reason. Then the judge looks towards the ex-husband. Judge, why do you think you deserve custody of the child, sir? The ex-husband thought long and hard about his response. After a brief moment of silence, he replies, if I put money into a Pepsi machine and a Pepsi comes out, is it mine or the machine's? Tim decided to tie the knot with his longtime girlfriend. One evening, after the honeymoon, he was organizing his golfing equipment. His wife was standing nearby watching him. After a long period of silence, she finally speaks. Tim, I've been thinking, now that we're married, Maybe it's time you quit golfing. You spend so much time on the course. You could probably get a good price for your clubs. Tim gets this horrified look on his face. She says, "Darling, what's wrong?" Tim says, "For a minute there, you were beginning to sound like my ex-wife." "Ex-wife!" She screams. "I didn't know you were married before." "I wasn't," he replied. A man takes his sick chihuahua to the veterinarian. They're immediately taken back to a room. Soon, a Labrador walks in, sniffs the chihuahua for 10 minutes and leaves. Then a cat comes in, stares at the chihuahua for 10 minutes and leaves. Finally, the doctor comes in, prescribes some medicine, and hands the man a $250 bill. "This must be a mistake," the man says. "I've been here only 20 minutes. "No mistake," the doctor says. "It's $100 for the lab test, $100 for the CAT scan, and $50 for the medicine." A taxi passenger tapped the driver on the shoulder to ask him a question. The driver screamed, lost control of the car, nearly hit a bus, went up on the footpath, and stopped inches from a shop window. For a second, everything was quiet in the cab. Then the driver said, "Look, mate, don't ever do that again. You scared the living daylights out of me." The passenger apologized and said, "I didn't realize that a little tap would scare you so much." The driver replied, "Sorry, it's not really your fault. Today is my first day as a cab driver. I've been driving a funeral van for the last 25 years. Putin is held hostage by a terrorist. A Russian truck driver stops at the back of a long queue on the motorway. He sees a policeman walking down the line of stopped cars to briefly talk to the drivers. As the policeman approaches the truck driver rolls down his window and asks, "What's going on?" "Policeman, a terrorist is holding Putin hostage in a car. He's demanding 10 million rubles or he'll douse Putin in petrol and set him on fire. So we're asking drivers for donations." Driver, "Oh, okay. How much do people donate on average?" Policeman, "About a gallon." A New York attorney representing a wealthy art collector called his client and said to him, "Sam, I have some good news and I have some bad news." The art collector replied, "I've had an awful day. Let's hear the good news first." The attorney said, "Well, I met with your wife today, and she informed me that she invested $5,000 in 2 pictures that she thinks will bring a minimum of 15 to 20 million. I think she could be right." Sam replied enthusiastically, "Well done! My wife is a brilliant businesswoman. You've just made my day. Now I know I can handle the bad news. What is it?" The attorney replied, "The pictures are of you with your secretary." A young boy enters a barber shop and the barber whispers to his customer, "This is the dumbest kid in the world. Watch while I prove it to you." The barber puts a dollar bill in one hand and 2 quarters in the other, then calls the boy over and asks, "Which do you want, son?" The boy takes the quarters and leaves. "What did I tell you?" said the barber. "That kid never learns." Later, when the customer leaves, he sees the same young boy coming out of the ice cream parlor. "Hey, son, may I ask you a question? Why did you take the quarters instead of the dollar bill?" The boy licked his cone and replied, "Because the day I take the dollar, the game is over." 400 passengers, but only 200 meals were loaded onto a flight from Delhi to New York City. It was only discovered after takeoff. When the flight attendants started going through their preparations for the meals, so the airline had bungled and the crew was in a fix. However, one smart flight attendant had an idea. A couple of hours into the flight, she nervously announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, we don't know how this happened, but we have over 400 people on board, but only 200 dinners. Anyone who is kind enough to give up their meal to someone else will receive unlimited free liquor for the duration of the flight." Her next announcement came 6 hours later. "Ladies and gentlemen, if anyone wants to change their mind, we still have 180 dinners available."